But we started to realize that the highways are pretty hazardous environments too. We still kill 40,000 people per year in the U.S. on the highways.
This is their 5th generation of autonomous vehicles. It uses a simple personal computer hooked into a radar rangefinder for detecting obstacles and a single miniature TV camera. Dean Pomerlow, who wrote most of the software that ties it all together, took me out for a spin. What's this big blue square here?
So that's actually a representation of the back of the vehicle. You can see the vehicle and the 2 tires below it,
yeah.
Little gray squares. And then below that, the 2 yellow markings that are dancing back and forth.
Yeah.
Those represent the where it believes the edges of the lane to be. Because we're in a parking lot right now, you don't actually, it's not finding any road, so those are sort of dancing around as it's hunting for the road ahead.
Now, how about this red...
Trapezoid?
Yeah. Trapezoid, yes. I knew there was a word for it.
That's the portion of the scene ahead that the system is actually processing. So it isn't processing the whole image.
For computer vision systems, the real world is a mess. It's cluttered and complicated. So this system tries to make it simpler. It takes just the central part of the picture showing the road and looks for some kind of structure. Right now, it's finding this series of intersections just as confusing as the parking lot. But then it settles down.
So right now, we're in a fairly well-structured setting. There are lane boundaries on the side and a dash marking down the middle. So the system is quite confident, and as you can see from the display, has locked on quite well to the lane center and the 2 lane boundaries.
So you would feel confident here letting the car go by itself?
For that stretch, yes. But here we come up to an intersection. There's a stoplight. In fact, this stoplight appears not to be working. Mm-hmm. That guy giving me hand signals that it's safe to go through the intersection is far beyond the kinds of stuff that any machine vision system is capable of now.
Even so, the system is not entirely dumb.
The most interesting thing about the system is it, in fact, is not explicitly tracking those lane markings. There isn't a hand-programmed lane marker detector in here. The system basically adapts to utilize whatever features are visible on the road ahead.
What other features would it track?
Things like what we see here, like the cracks in the road where they've been filled, the dark discolorations, even the slight discoloration down the lane center.
The system works best in the simpler setting of the highway. That's where I'm going to try it out in what they call warning mode. This is probably the way smart cars like this will first come into widespread use. Now I'm going to deliberately drift here. I'm going to drift that way.
Yep. See what happens. Right as your tire crossed the lane boundary, it basically gave you the audible warning that there's something wrong here. You want to steer back towards the lane center.
All right, here I go again. Drifting.
The goal of this initially is to basically deploy it on trucks. They're where a large problem is with drowsy drivers in particular.
We're getting down to one lane, and there's no stripe on the left. So it must just be reading the oil spots in the center.
The oil spots, and there is a slight seam, a crack in the road.
Oh, right,
The system is also seeing. So it will adapt what features it utilizes to the circumstances.
Now we're going to go to full autonomous steering. Better to have Dean in the hot seat.
Nervous?
A little bit, yes, just a little bit.
So what I'm going to do now is change the mode now into the mode where we can automatically drive the vehicle.
Right. How many times have you done this?
Hundreds.
Done this a lot?
Hundreds.
100 times.
Oh, minimum.
We rejoin the high-speed traffic on the highway.
So we can see the system has locked on to the road ahead.
Yeah.
And so I will now hit the red button, and now it's steering on its own.
How fast are we going?
55, 57 miles per hour.
Well, this is not nearly as frightening as I thought it would be. I'll tell you what's more amazing is we've been chatting about this, and I've completely forgotten that you have your hands off the wheel. I can't get over that. Yeah, it's going around a curve now. It's great to see that wheel actually take the curve.
Yeah.
It's still up to the driver to apply the brakes, but in the future, the system will be able to handle that too. Okay, now look, this car just pulled into our lane. Did we respond in any way to that?
The radar has located it. You can see the white line with the pink dot right in the middle of it.
Yeah.
That's indicating it's tracking it, and it knows it's in our lane.
At the same time, the system excludes the overtaking car from the red trapezoid, so the view of the lane ahead is not disrupted. 10 years ago, our cameras recorded some of Chuck Thorpe's early experiments. The first Navlab, as they called it, detected obstacles with a laser scanner. It worked as well as the radar on the latest version, but it was slow, like everything on Navlab 1. Just like today's system, it combined obstacle detection with processed TV camera pictures. But its computers took 10 seconds to process each new frame of picture. So it found the road and stayed on it, but at less than walking pace. Today, the speed limit's no longer in the computers. It's in the law. There's not much doubt that we'll be riding in robotic cars before long. But is that really such a strange idea?